Hey, Automathletes, Larry Sorensen here, and today I'm going to chat with Denny Chipollini and find out what makes him an automathlete that's not done yet. Remember, if you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, and ding that bell for notifications. All right, we're going to kick this thing off. Denny, appreciate you coming and talking with us today. Why don't you start us off with a brief introduction of yourself?
Well, thanks for having me, Larry. My name's Denny Chipollini. I just turned 72 years old. We moved to Florida, west coast of Florida, a couple years ago. Absolutely love it here. I have a wife, Heather, and two kids. One, Elise, who is she'll be turning 32, and my son Nicholas, who will be turning 36. I worked for United Parcel Service for almost 20 years. At the same time, I was a personal trainer, almost 40 years personal trainer.
It's great to meet you. Before we talk a little bit more about what you're doing now, let's get a little bit of history. So let's go back to what did you do athletically before the accident, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what happened there and move forward. So fill us in a little bit on that early days athletic history.
I was a big kid. In seventh grade, I was 225 pounds. I was middle school. I did play football, and if they needed just a couple yards, they would have me run up the middle. I could carry six guys on my back, so I always got those few yards for them. But other than that, I mean, I played tennis, golf, didn't play sports through high school. No, just got more interested in weight training, running uh, when I came out of high school.
And so, did you pursue that up until the accident happened, or did you just not really do much of anything before then?
I was, in pretty good shape. That's matter of fact, that's what the doctor said. If I wasn't in the shape I was in, I probably would have died in that car accident.
Yeah.
So that's the importance of physical fitness.
Okay, so we're going to dive right in. Tell us a little bit about what happened in this accident. How old were you? What happened, and just kind of how you came through that.
On the weekend, I was going down to my parents' house. I also cut hair, so I would do that on the weekends. So I got on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and it was raining, and they were remodeling or fixing the roads, and the drainage was kind of bad. I hydroplaned into a guardrail that came through the front of the car and took off both my legs. Put my left leg on the dashboard of the car. My right leg ended up under the guardrail um, on the other side of the car. All that was attached to the right leg was an artery, and the skin was stretched. Scary moment.
Yeah.
Because when it happened, I remember uh, saying, "Hey, I survived. I'm okay." Until I looked up. And when I saw my leg on the dashboard, the rush of pain that took over was unbelievable. And the blood was just coming out like a fire hose. Uh, so I needed to do something right away. And what I did is I had to rely on my mind because I couldn't move. I was pinned. And I learned something there that I use now in later life. Visualization. I was able to visualize myself in a hospital and doctors taking care of me. And I was able to feel a safety about that. And doing so, I was able to control the blood flow. I actually brought it down um, until people came. And then we put tourniquets on it and things like that. They had to peel back the roof to get to me and then helicopter me to the closest hospital.
And how old were you when that took place?
I was 36 years old.
So they airlift you out, get you to the hospital. Um, tell us about, I'm assuming
Yeah, they took me into
multiple
the
surgeries
emergency
and
room and they called my wife, who was 8 months pregnant. And I said to them, be gentle when you tell her. She came down. I'm sorry about that.
that's okay.
Let me start that over.
No, that's all right.
She came down and when she saw me, literally passed out. I was covered in blood. Uh, I spent 3.5 months in the hospital, 15 operations to save the legs. During the one operation to save my left leg, my wife came in and she was giving birth to her son. So the families were running from one end of the hospital to the other. It was a trying time. Pretty much of the 3 months, that's the majority of them, debriding. They did a muscle flap surgery where they wanted to take a muscle flap from either my lat or my abdomen and put it down on my left leg to try to save that because of the infection. That's what cost me the leg. I did that, and it was a 13-hour operation that failed 8 days later. So that didn't work, which
Okay.
left me with permanent hernia,
Yeah.
which is kind of probably, I really regret getting that operation, but I wanted to try everything to get back
Yeah.
at it.
Okay. So at what point, I mean, what time frame would you say it took you to get to the point where you're through all these surgeries, you know you've lost the left leg, um, and now it's time to start building your life back and figure out how to do this. How long did that take? And then tell us how you did it.
Well, the doctors, I'll never forget this. They came into the room. There were three of them. My parents were there. And, this is at point after they've done operation after operation. And they said to me, you're most likely not going to be able to walk again without the use of some kind of apparatus like a walker or crutches. And I looked at my father, I looked at the doctors, and I said, you want to bet? And I said, Dad, tomorrow you bring me in my dumbbells and some bands because I start my rehab tomorrow. And I did. I never looked back. Best thing they could have said to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know it then, but I view what happened to me as a gift that allowed me to bring me to where I am right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't do it any other way, except I would not do that flap surgery.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only thing. But other than that, I learned so much along this trail
Mhm.
that all the adversity I had to overcome, um, which we all do.
Yeah.
And it's either you take it on or you feel sorry for yourself. I took it on.
Yeah.
And each time I overcame something, it just built me up even further. And I wanted to go further and further and further till eventually, it was, I think, 3 years after my accident, I ran a 5K race in my hometown. Came in dead last, but I finished it. And from that point on, there was no stopping me.
Yeah.
Went on to do 10Ks, then a half a marathon. I did 3 half marathons, 3 full marathons, 2 triathlons. The doctors never said anything about running. They may have said I might not walk again, but definitely. Yeah, I learned so much from that. I didn't know it at the time. It was a scary where am I going to do? I'm a new father. Am I going to be able to work again? Am I going to be able to do anything? And I took it day to day.
You were doing the running. You mentioned something to me earlier about doing something pretty cool as far as the Olympics go. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Back when I was running these marathons, this was over 20 years ago, there weren't many amputees. So I did get a lot of press. And the press was good because at the time, the baby that was born, my son Nicholas, the firstborn, was born with some difficulties, Asperger's syndrome. They said he had neurofibromatosis, so he had some struggles. I realized that this gift that I was given, I am able now to help him. So with the attention that I was getting at these races, I was bringing attention to him. Went on to start a nonprofit to go into schools and speak to kids about overcoming adversity, accepting diversity, accepting others for their differences. And it really went well. I did that for maybe 8, 9 years. So with that, I was able to get attention. I got awards and things like that. But two of the biggest awards that I've received is to carry the Olympic torch in the 2002 Utah Olympics. I carried two. I carried one in Philadelphia, and the second one was for the Paralympics. 6 weeks later, I carried that in Utah. It was incredible. The one in Philly was awesome, but the one in Utah, I got to meet some incredible people that had challenges. And I got to meet the original Rain Man, Kim Peeks. Awesome. It was awesome. But I'll never forget out there, because they put you in a little bus and then they drive you to the spots where you're going to run with the torch. And there was this woman in there. Oh, I'll never forget it. She was in the bus and she was trying to stay calm because she was carrying the torch. She had MS, and she's trying to stay calm because if she gets too excited, she told me, it could bring an event on and it would ruin her moment. But she was so cute and her family so proud. That moment for me felt so good.
Yeah,
it really did.
Yeah.
And I knew that, this gift I was given, I needed to do something with it. And I feel that that's what I'm trying to do now.
Well, speaking of what you're trying to do now, you've had quite the life story here. Now you're 72 years old. You're in great shape. You're helping others. We want to know a little bit more about how you do that. So let's start by talking a little bit about how you train personally. Give us an idea of what your training regimen is and how you go about staying physically fit.
I speed walk, fast walk, 4 to 5 times a week, anywhere from 5 to 7 miles at a time. So I'm doing, 25 to 30 miles a week. Love that. That's my meditation. That's my talk to God. That's my, I call it active sauna, because when you're in Florida and it's 115, it's like a sauna. And I enjoy it. I enjoy that. I'm smart about it. Right now is a good time to work on yourself, to make yourself better, because you can do that. You have control of that. Really, you're the only one that does. So, start making your value much better. Work on yourself. You have a great day. I'm going to continue on with my miles and continue to work on myself. You guys have a good one. Also, weight train pretty much almost every day, 6 days a week. When like today, I took the day off because, I just needed to rest. I'm going crazy. I'm going nuts. Maybe after the interview, I might run up to the gym. I don't know, but I should take it easy. But yeah, and that's what I do. And I lift hard. I lift heavy. I try to lift as heavy as I can within, what I have. I'm nursing a shoulder right now. I know if I went to an orthopedic surgeon, he'd say, let's operate. I'm not. I'm going to fix it myself, and I'm doing it slowly. But it's actually healing.
So you mentioned something also to me earlier about a accomplishment you just had with as far as heavy weightlifting is concerned. Why don't you tell us a little about that?
I work out at the gym in our development in Florida. And then once a week, I'll go over to LA Fitness, which is a mile and a half away, because they have more leg equipment. So I do my legs there once a week. 2-hour leg workout, pretty killer. I'm still feeling it, and I worked out Tuesday. So I'm doing the leg press, and I keep putting the weight on, and I have a birthday coming up, and every birthday I like to try something different, something to show that even though I'm aging, I'm not getting older, I'm getting younger. And in past years, I used to go in, and it was be in the gym. I would lift whatever my age was. If it was 69 or 70, I would do 69 reps of 10 different exercises. That was pretty brutal workout,
Yeah.
but I did it. So this year, went into the gym and I leg pressed my personal best. I've never done this much weight, even when I had two legs and I was half this age.
Yeah.
The most I did back then was 700 pounds. So I went in to attempt 838 pounds, which I was able to do 3 times. So I said, go ahead, throw another 50 on. So I did 888 pounds for one rep. I was pretty proud of that. Now, one thing I didn't think of, and a couple weeks out, before I did the press, I'm thinking, whoa, what about my prosthetic? Can it handle it?
Oh, yeah.
So I just winged it. So next year, I'm kind of thinking now I might want to do 1,000 pounds,
Yeah.
and I think I can do it.
Yeah.
But I will definitely have a new prosthetic that I know can handle it.
Obviously, you're putting a lot of effort into your own physical training, but you now work with others. So tell us a little bit about that.
I do. I try to help people whenever I can, and I will train them if they want. But if I see people in the gym that need help, that are struggling, it's interesting. I know some people like I got to go to the gym. I got to get healthy. The problem I think with a lot of people, and I've seen this through the years, is they never get that mindset. They quit on it. That mind body connection. You only see it, and you see it in athletes. You see it in some people, but some people they quit on themselves. They'll get ready for a wedding or the this or that, and then quit, and or they view it as work. Going to the gym's work. Now we know it's not work. We can't wait to get there. Like people will count sheep at night. I count reps. I can't wait to get to my next workout. That mindset. I love it. It's not work for me.
Yep.
And I try to show people that. Take your time. And another thing I think what people do is they view, the last time they were in a gym, and it might have been 20, 30 years ago, and they try to compare that and they haven't been doing anything. And then they get frustrated.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think people are competitive. They look at other people and say, I should be doing that. No, you should be competitive to yourself.
Yeah.
Get better every time. Yes. That's why each birthday, I plan on getting younger. And so far, I've been doing pretty good. And I try to set an example with people. Mm-hmm. And I got a bunch of guys down here. They're all younger than I am. I like that. Mm-hmm. And I work out with them. And we push each other.
You're having a ball in the gym, training hard. You got to fuel yourself to do that. So how do you approach your diet and nutrition?
I try to eat very clean. No seed oils, high protein. I like a lot of meat. Dairy, when I can get it, raw milk, kefir. Like last night, we had pizza. But if you can get a good pizza, what I did is I get plain pizza, and what I do is I cover it with sardines. And the sardines are loaded with protein, and it's actually pretty good. So yeah, I'll have that, and I enjoy beer. I'll have a beer now and then, but majority of the time I try to eat clean, very clean. Do a little bit of like intermittent fasting. I'll when I get up in the morning, I do a drink that I put together about 8 or 9 different seeds, put it in a coffee grinder, blend that up. I add 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, and I drink that. That's my first drink. I call that my prebiotic drink. My second drink is my brain drink, which is coffee, and it's got cacao, it's got bone meal, bone broth, rosemary, which is very good for the memory, and I also put in that MCT oil, and that's my memory drink. And my final drink is my probiotic drink. which I have my creatine in there, my moringa, and kombucha. So they're my 3 drinks that I have. Then I'm off to the gym.
Kind of fill us in on your overall approach to rest.
I'm in bed at 7 o'clock at night. I'm up at 4 in the morning, and that works for me. Um, I know people take naps during the day. I don't do that. But when I hit that bed at 7, I'm out, and I'm up, automatically at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I like to see the sun. Plus, it takes a long time to drink all those drinks. But yeah, rest is very important. On the days that I rest, I listen to my body, and I've been hitting it pretty good. So I took the day off today.
So you're 72, things are going well. Obviously, you're doing extremely
I've never
well.
felt this good. I've never. I honestly can tell you that I didn't feel like this at 40. I feel fabulous,
Yeah.
and it's the mindset. It's the sun. People are afraid of the sun. I'm out there every day. It's just amazing. And one of the things with the sun, especially in the summer, that I found, I read this years ago, and when I moved to Florida, I would do it religiously every day. I take a half a teaspoon of baking soda in my water. Amazing. What it does, you can drink, a lot of people can drink water all day and they never get hydrated. What baking soda does, or sea salt, you can use sea salt, but I just started with baking soda and it works for me. It opens up the cell and allows the hydration. I really believe that. And, because I'm out there, like I said, in 115, 120 temperature in Florida. And yeah, it's hot. I'm sweating, but I still have that energy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I found the fountain of youth, really.
Well, I think I know the kind of the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. So at 72, you're doing all this stuff. You said you're feeling great. I mean, what motivates you to keep this sort of lifestyle going?
What motivates me is me. The more I do and the more I overcome and the more I accomplish, I'm able to just keep it going. I sit back and go, wow. When I was doing the leg press, and this is where the mind can play tricks. I'm looking at all those, I've got 8 45s on each side. I'm looking at that and going, what are you, crazy? And if, I can't stay with that. I've got to get rid of that. And a lot of times people that's what they do. They talk them out of things, whether it be, a lift or whatever in life. So you got to believe in yourself. And when you do it and when you overcome things like that, it just takes you to the next level. So I can't wait to see what the next level is going to be like. I look forward to my 73rd birthday.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Denny, I want to say thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you letting us know what makes you an autumn athlete that's not done yet. I want to wrap up today by giving you a moment to address the audience and just give us some final thoughts.
I've had some things in my life, like a lot of people have. I didn't mention that because of phantom pain, I was on opioids for 28 years. I was able to function with them, but they were getting out of control. 7 years ago, I cold turkeyed. I locked myself in my bedroom and got rid of them, and have not taken a drug since then. For pain, I just use what our creator gave us, what came out of the ground. I use a cannabis tincture twice a day, and it completely eliminates phantom pain. Absolutely amazing. Medical marijuana. Absolutely amazing. And believe it or not, it helps repair my brain that the opioids were taken away. It also focuses me. So that has helped immensely. Another thing that I had to overcome was a blood transfusion that I received from the car accident. I ended up with hepatitis C. So I had to go through treatment for that. That's gone. So yeah, there these things along the way have been blocks and things like that, and we all have them. But take them on. Take them on. You'll be amazed what the human body can do. When you get that mind and that body connection, there's no stopping you.
Well, there you go, folks. Denny Chipollini. He is definitely an autumn athlete that's not done yet. Remember, keep moving, set your own goals, and train hard to achieve them. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.